Well, joining me now is Democratic Congressman from New York, Ritchie Torres, also former senior advisor to the Trump-Vance campaign, Brian Lanza. Glad to have both of you guys here tonight. I mean, I have to read something to you again. I spoke about it initially in the open, but Brian, that statement from Marjorie Taylor Greene warning Trump and others that dangling bits of red meat no longer satisfy. How are they going to, and Trump in particular, what is the plan? Is the plan to ignore that they're saying things like this and just sort of drip, 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 or say, here's a little bit of this, and I'll take it right back? What is the plan here?
Listen, I've been around Trump world, in and around Trump world, basically since early 2015. And what I have learned, and you've learned from him, is that in 3 to 4 days, there's usually another crisis that emerges that supersedes everything. And
that's not happening here.
That's not happening here, but what's happening this week? He's going to go to the UK, and that's going to absorb a lot of media attention, a lot of coverage, and we're going to move on from this.
Well, unless he brings Meghan Markle with him to reunite with the family, that's not going to do it either.
I don't think he's going to be the reuniter in chief in this one, but my point is if you're in Trump for long enough to know, you know you can usually survive 3 days, and then a news story develops. We're now in the 3rd week of this, and the news story hasn't developed, but there is a major landmark event, the UK visit, that's going to absorb a lot of coverage. It's going to turn the page, but they still ultimately need some type of a release valve for the base. There needs to be something there where they feel like, they're not protecting the elite, and that needs to happen, I think.
That turn of phrase reminds me of what your fellow Congressman Ro Khanna had to say, where he is urging in a political playbook interview, he is urging Democrats to hammer in on this point. And here is what he is saying as to sort of the way to connect it to a larger criticism of the administration, saying, whose side are you on? Are you voting to protect rich and powerful men, or are you standing with America's children and the people? Do you agree that this is a topic to hammer home and connect to a larger issue about and around the midterms?
Look, the issue is the credibility of Donald Trump. The MAGA movement sees Donald Trump as the chosen one, right? He was chosen to release the Epstein files as though it were a form of revelation and destroy the deep state and drain the swamp. But here's the problem with the notion of Donald Trump as the savior. How can you drain the swamp when you've been part of the swamp? There is no one in Washington, D.C. who has closer and longer ties to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump. Also,
the president is a symbol of, that is the insider, the ultimate insider in general for a president, but your larger point.
Right. He is the greatest trick the devil ever performed was convincing the world that Donald Trump was an outsider. He's no outsider. He's the ultimate elite insider. He was inside the world, the social world of Jeffrey Epstein. By his own admission in 2002, in a New York magazine of Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump went on the record praising his longstanding relationship with Epstein. He said that Epstein loves beautiful women as much as he does, and, quote, many of them are on the younger side. Like Donald Trump, it's true that he's the creator of MAGA, but he's like Dr. Frankenstein, who has created a monster that might spiral out of control.
And yet, what do you think of the fact that he did release, through obviously DNI and otherwise, he did release thousands of documents in the vein of transparency, he says, with the MLK files. Is this a bait and switch to say, see, we are transparent in some spaces, but just not this one? What do you make of it?
The motto of Donald Trump is promises made, promises kept. He promised to release the Epstein files. He should keep his promise. This could be an extinction moment for the credibility of Donald Trump within the MAGA movement. Yes, he's accustomed to facing crises, but he's never had to face a crisis within the MAGA movement that he created.
Is it an extinction moment to you?
No, listen, at the end of the day, the MAGA movement has, 13 things that it's trying to achieve, and Epstein is one of them, right? And that's the files, and this is in year 1. He has several other years to do it. I think the challenge he has is the whole process has been clumsy. It's been sloppy. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, she knew she had a deadline. She has to release these things by. She put the deadline upon herself. She created attention towards it, and then it said there's nothing here. That moment, it caused a rift within MAGA. They're like, wait a second, you promised us something, you dangled stuff, you went on Fox News and said all these things, and then all we get in a memo is that this isn't going to happen.
So how do Democrats seize on that? That's what he says is true about the AG, about Trump, about promises failed.
I think
what do you do about
it? But I would say voters don't care about these things.
Do they?
No, voters do care because it's about his credibility. And look, Donald Trump and his administration have been signaling to the MAGA base that the Epstein client list is real, that the deep state is engaged in a massive cover-up, and that Donald Trump is the one and only person on earth who could reveal the truth. And now MAGA is beginning to wonder whether Donald Trump is part of the cover-up and corruption of the deep state that he has long decried. It is fair for Democrats to call out that hypocrisy.
That seems very corrosive to Trump if he loses that credibility and the person who can be that sort of transparent savior.
I mean, listen, I come on CNN and other networks where we always say this is a credibility threat to Donald Trump. Something needs to happen, and he always survives these things. I think he has a better pulse of what his base wants than anybody else, certainly myself, certainly the congressman, or anybody in the media. I think he'll survive this. I do think he needs some type of release valve, but I also think the issue is very complicated. I think the most important thing that they haven't gotten out is the vast majority of the victims who are in this don't want their names released. If you can't release the victims, you can't release the predators.
Well, you can do that. You could redact. That can be done. You can redact and also give
so
more
you're not
information.
releasing names.
But they want the names of not the victims. They want the names of the predators, right?
Yeah, and also let's be clear, like the calls to release the files have come from Trump himself. Like right before the presidential election in October of 2024, J.D. Vance said, release the files, right? I think John Roberts from Fox News asked Pam Bondi, is the Trump administration going to publish the Epstein client list? She said she had it waiting on her desk, sitting on her desk waiting for review. So, the Trump administration has been stoking the fires of conspiratorial politics, and now those fires are threatening to devour the Trump administration, and he has no one to blame but himself.
Brian, I know you hope for that UK trip to take it all away. I don't know. But Congressman Ritchie Torres, Brian Lanza, thank you both.